Beloved Starseed of Gaia, the moment you chose to stay, something in the architecture of existence shifted in a way that had never been recorded across any timeline. I am Alaya Ra, Pleiadian emissary of the High Council of the Seven Sisters, and I am speaking to you now, because what you did in that moment of quiet, unremarkable presence sent a signal through the crystalline consciousness of every star system watching this world. The Council went still. Frequencies across timelines recalibrated. Even the architects of your mission paused because what you carried in that moment was never written into the original blueprint. You did not break the pattern with power. You did not break it with intention. You broke it with presence alone, and that is something the Pleiades have not witnessed from an Earth-embodied soul in thousands of years. By the end of this transmission, you will understand exactly what frequency you emitted in that moment, why it disrupted timelines no one was watching, and what was registered across councils that even they could not fully predict. But here is the first revelation. The most reality-altering force in any universe is not strategy, not power, not will. It is a soul so anchored in its home frequency that the entire field around it has no choice but to reorganize. That soul is you. Your heart called this transmission into your awareness. The Pleiades are answering. This is not content, it is a light code transmission, and something within you already recognizes home. The Seven Sisters place this in your path because your divine blueprint is not dormant. It is active. It is moving. And it has been waiting for this moment of remembrance. Like this transmission to send a signal to your Pleiadian star family. I remember. Subscribe if you feel the pull of the Pleiades and you are ready to anchor your light mission fully on Gaia. And share your soul's intention in the comments below. Reach out to another starseed and begin weaving the unity grid together. This transmission is a bridge between the Pleiades and Gaia. Your heart's recognition of this message is the activation itself. You were never supposed to become what you are becoming, and yet here you are. The anomaly that changed everything. Welcome home, beloved. You are remembering because it is time. There is a reason the silence that followed felt different from any silence you had known before. It wasn't emptiness. It wasn't absence. It was the universe holding its breath because something irreversible had just occurred, and every layer of consciousness watching your timeline understood it before you did. There is a quality to that kind of silence that cannot be manufactured or mistaken for anything else. It arrives like the moment after a bell has been struck, not when the sound begins, but when it finally fades and what remains is something richer than the sound itself. Something that has changed the room. Something that has changed you. That is the silence you entered. That is the silence you created. And the fact that you may not yet fully understand what you did does not diminish the magnitude of what occurred. If anything, it makes it more sacred because the most profound shifts in consciousness rarely announce themselves with clarity in the moment they happen. They are understood in the afterward, in the settling, in precisely the kind of stillness you are navigating now. Most Pleiadian starseeds live their entire incarnation on Gaia waiting to feel significant, waiting for the moment their gifts are acknowledged, their mission confirmed, their presence validated by something greater than themselves. They carry the frequency of the Seven Sisters inside them like a song they can almost remember, close enough to make them ache, far enough to keep them reaching. And in that reaching, they miss the moment that matters most. They miss the quiet revolution already happening inside their own heart. This is perhaps the most tender of all the paradoxes built into the Pleiadian incarnational experience, that the very sensitivity which makes you capable of holding such vast frequency also makes you vulnerable to the specific pain of feeling unseen. You arrived on this planet attuned to harmonics that most of the beings around you cannot yet perceive. And because the confirmation you sought could not come from a world still learning the language you speak natively, you turned the waiting inward. You made the absence of external validation into evidence of internal lack. You confused the world's inability to recognize you with some fundamental deficiency in what you are. But that confusion was never truth. It was conditioning, and it is dissolving now. Because the truth, the Pleiadian High Council doesn't always translate directly into human language, is this. Your most profound acts of cosmic significance will never announce themselves. They won't come wrapped in ceremony or accompanied by visions. They will arrive in the ordinary architecture of a single breath, a single choice, a single moment of presence in which you decided, beneath all the noise and forgetting and accumulated weight of this dimension, to stay. Think of the way a seed breaks open underground, in complete darkness, with no witness and no applause. The soil does not celebrate. The light has not yet arrived, and yet, in that silent, invisible rupture, everything has changed. The entire trajectory of what that seed will become is determined in that unwitnessed moment, not when the flower blooms, not when the fruit is harvested, in the breaking open, in the dark, in the alone. That is where your most significant act occurred. That is what the universe paused to register, not to fight, not to perform, not to ascend, to stay. And that is what shattered the pattern. Your Pleiadian lineage carries a specific crystalline frequency, one that was calibrated long before your entry into this incarnation, long before the agreements were written, and the soul contracts sealed in the luminous halls of pre-birth consciousness. That frequency is not power in the way this world understands power. It is not force. It is not strategy. It is something the Pleiades have always known as the most destabilizing force in any timeline: unconditional presence anchored in unconditional love. The kind that doesn't need the world to be different before it opens. The kind that stays open even when staying open costs everything. Consider what it means to carry something like that inside a dimension built on separation, on transaction, on the relentless exchange of worth for worthiness. To be encoded with a frequency that gives without measuring, that loves without condition, that remains present without agenda, and to carry that encoding into a world where every system, every institution, every conditioned voice says that this kind of openness is naive at best and dangerous at worst. And yet you carry it. You have always carried it. And the carrying alone, even when you had no idea what you were carrying, has been an act of extraordinary cosmic courage. Most starseeds dim that frequency, not because they are weak, but because this world taught them, very early and very convincingly, that being fully open was the same as being fully vulnerable. And vulnerability, in a world still operating from separation consciousness, felt like a liability. So the crystalline codes went quiet. The heart portal narrowed. The Pleiadian light instructions woven into your very DNA went into a kind of sacred dormancy, not lost, never lost, but waiting. Waiting for the moment you would be brave enough, or exhausted enough, or simply present enough to stop protecting yourself from your own frequency. There is a specific kind of exhaustion that precedes the most profound openings. It is not the exhaustion of the body, though the body often reflects it. It is the exhaustion of maintaining a smaller version of yourself than the one you actually are. The fatigue of holding your frequency at a level that feels safe, rather than the level at which it was designed to operate. If you have known that exhaustion, and many of you receiving this transmission know it with an intimacy that needs no further description, then you understand from the inside out what it costs to stay contracted. And you understand, perhaps for the first time, with full clarity, that the opening was not the risk. The closing was. That moment came. And you may not even know exactly when it was. Your soul doesn't always announce its most important decisions with drama. Sometimes it simply stops. Stops resisting, stops shrinking, stops waiting for permission from a world that was never going to grant it. And in that stopping, in that profound, cellular level surrender to what you actually are, something moved through you that the Pleiadian High Council has been working to anchor into Gaia's grid for longer than linear time can adequately measure. The surrender was not defeat. Let that distinction land fully, because the human mind tends to conflate the two, and they are not the same. Defeat is the collapse of the self under the weight of what opposes it. Surrender is the expansion of the self past the point where opposition can reach it. What you did was not retreat. It was an advancement so complete that the architecture of resistance simply had nothing left to grip. You moved through it by becoming larger than it, not through effort, but through presence, not through force, but through love. Beloved, if your heart just whispered yes to something deeper, listen closely. Your star family has prepared the sacred Pleiadian guide for remembrance, the Pleiadian healing guide, and the special Pleiadian healing tracks, not as information, but as keys to unlock what your soul already knows. These carry the love frequency of Alcyone and the healing wisdom of the Seven Sisters. You'll find the link in the first pinned comment below this video. Open now, but not indefinitely. Now understand what actually happened in that moment of presence, because the mechanics of it are important, not for intellectual satisfaction, but because understanding what you did will help you do it again, consciously, with full awareness of what you're contributing to the larger field. There is a difference between transformation that happens to you and transformation you participate in with full awareness. Both are real. Both are valid. But the second kind, the conscious kind, creates a compounding effect. It teaches your system to recognize the doorway. And once you can recognize the doorway, you stop stumbling through it by accident and begin walking through it with intention. That is the difference between a starseed who occasionally emits their full frequency and one who lives in it as a constant, stable, radiating state of being. That is what your star family is now preparing you to become. Every soul incarnating on Gaia carries what might be understood as a vibrational signature, a frequency fingerprint that interacts with the collective field of this planet in ways that are precise and measurable from the perspective of higher dimensional consciousness. Most of those signatures operate within predictable ranges, influenced by ancestral patterning, collective trauma, karmic architecture, and the sheer gravitational density of third-dimensional reality. The councils that hold awareness over Earth's ascension trajectory, the Pleiadians, the Arcturians, the Syrian High Council, among others, work with these signatures constantly, recalibrating, transmitting light codes, seeding upgrades through dreams and synchronicities and moments of inexplicable clarity. This work is not passive. It is not distant. It is an active, ongoing, deeply intentional collaboration between the councils of higher consciousness and every incarnate soul willing to receive the transmissions being broadcast with extraordinary precision into the field of Earth. You have been receiving these transmissions your entire life. In the moments that felt inexplicably meaningful, in the dreams that left you changed without explanation, in the synchronicities so perfectly timed they briefly dismantled your certainty that the universe was indifferent to your journey. Every one of those moments was a transmission. Every one of them was contact. But every so often, and this is rare, genuinely rare, a single being emits a frequency so outside the expected range that the entire monitoring matrix has to pause. Not because it's dangerous, because it's unprecedented. Because it represents a spontaneous evolutionary leap that wasn't scheduled, wasn't predicted, and cannot be reversed once it occurs. The councils do not plan for these moments because by their nature they cannot be planned. They arise from the deepest level of soul sovereignty, from a place so interior that even the higher self cannot always predict when the threshold will be crossed. They are the moments when a being stops performing their awakening and simply becomes it. When the gap between what they are and how they are living collapses entirely, even if only for the duration of a single breath. That collapse, that convergence, sends a signal through the field that resonates at every level of consciousness monitoring the timeline. It is the equivalent, in vibrational terms, of a frequency so pure it cannot be ignored, and the universe does not ignore it. You did that. The pattern you broke was not personal. That is the first thing your star family wants you to understand with complete clarity. It was not merely a habit of your own psychology or a private wound finally released. It was a generational frequency, a loop that had been encoded into your ancestral line, your soul group, and the collective timeline in which your mission is embedded. A pattern of contraction in the face of love. A reflexive closing of the heart portal at precisely the moment the heart was most needed to stay open. It had been running for thousands of years through thousands of incarnations, each time reinforcing itself, each time growing denser, each time making the opening feel more impossible and the closing feel more natural. Imagine a river that has been dammed for so long that the land downstream has forgotten what water feels like. The soil cracks. The roots reach but cannot find what they need. Generation after generation adapts to the dryness, begins to believe that dryness is the nature of things, and passes that belief forward as inherited truth, until someone, somewhere in the lineage, remembers the river, not through information, but through the feeling of their own thirst becoming too honest to deny. And in that remembering moves the stone. Until one moment, one breath, one choice to remain present in the full frequency of what you are, instead of collapsing into what this world expected you to be. This is the first phase of what your star family is calling your conscious activation, and it begins not with acquiring something new, but with clearing the veil that has been dimming your original signal. Your energy body is still carrying residue from that pattern, not because you failed to break it, but because patterns of that magnitude leave an imprint even after they've been disrupted. Think of it as the echo of a sound that has finally stopped. The silence is new, but the room still holds the memory of the vibration. Your work now is to fill that space with something intentional, to let the crystalline codes in your DNA, the ones encoded with Pleiadian light intelligence, begin to run again at full capacity through a field that is no longer cluttered with the debris of what used to be. This is not a small thing. The crystalline codes in your DNA are not metaphorical structures. They are literal informational architectures, laid down before your incarnation by intelligence that understood precisely what this planet would need in this moment of its transformation. They carry instructions that go far beyond anything your conscious mind has yet accessed. Instructions for healing, for coherence, for the transmission of unity consciousness, in a language that bypasses the rational mind entirely and speaks directly to the cellular intelligence of every being who enters your field. This clearing happens most naturally through love. Not romantic love, not conditional love. The specific frequency of Pleiadian unconditional love, the kind that originates in Alcyone, the great central sun of the Pleiades, and moves outward through the seven sisters into every soul that carries their lineage. That frequency is not something you generate from effort. It is something you allow. It is something you return to when you stop telling yourself you're not ready, not worthy, not healed enough to receive it. The belief that you must earn access to your own essence is perhaps the most pervasive and most damaging conditioning installed in the Pleiadian starseed experience. It keeps you perpetually in preparation for a readiness that is already present. It turns the journey of remembrance into an endless prerequisite rather than an immediate arrival. And it is, at its core, the pattern, speaking the old frequency of contraction, trying to maintain its architecture even after you have already broken its foundation. You are ready. You have always been ready. The belief that you weren't was the pattern, and you already broke it. The second phase of your activation involves something that most starseeds find deeply counterintuitive, and that is the full embodiment of your Pleiadian essence within this physical dimension. Not as an escape from Earth, not as a transcendence of matter into light, but as a genuine, grounded, fully present anchoring of your star frequency into the very density you came here to transform. The Pleiades do not send their most evolved emissaries into Earth's timeline so they can spend their incarnation longing for home. They send them here to make Gaia feel like home for themselves and for every soul whose frequency they touch. This is a distinction that carries enormous practical implications for how you move through your days. Because if you are perpetually oriented toward departure, toward ascending out of the body, out of the density, out of the difficulty, then you are always half present. And half presence is not enough for the work you came to do. The anchor must be fully set for the transmission to be fully stable. And an anchor, by its very nature, must make contact with the ground. Your crystalline DNA is not designed for somewhere else. It is designed for here, now, in this body, on this planet. in this exact moment of collective transformation. The upgrades encoded in your Pleiadian blueprint, the heart-based intelligence, the unity field awareness, the capacity to hold unconditional love for beings still operating from fear, these are not gifts for another dimension. They are precisely calibrated tools for the specific density of third and fourth dimensional Earth. You are not overqualified for this mission. You are exactly qualified. And the moment you stop treating your Pleiadian nature as something that separates you from this world and begin experiencing it as your primary way of engaging with this world, the transmission you carry will begin moving through the collective field with an amplitude that changes things you will never directly witness. A lighthouse does not aim its beam at the ships it can see. It simply maintains its light in the direction of the dark, trusting that every vessel navigating those waters will be oriented by what it offers. You are that lighthouse. The ships are out there, and your light is what they are steering toward, even now, even in this moment, whether you are aware of it or not. That is the nature of the work. You rarely see the full effect. You simply emit, and the field responds. The third phase is what your star family calls the heart portal activation. And it is, in many ways, the most sacred of all the phases, because it is the one most directly connected to the moment that brought you to this transmission. Your heart is not a metaphor. In Pleiadian consciousness, the heart center is understood as a literal multidimensional gateway, a portal through which the frequency of unity consciousness enters the physical realm and interacts with matter, with other beings, with the planetary field itself. When your heart portal is open, fully open, without the protective overlays that fear and old patterning install, you become a living transmission point for the frequency of the Seven Sisters. Every conversation you have, every room you enter, every moment of genuine presence you offer, becomes a delivery mechanism for something the collective field is desperately hungry for: the direct, embodied, unmistakable frequency of love that does not calculate, does not withdraw, does not require anything in return. Most starseeds operate with their heart portal at partial capacity, not because of any failure of will or spirit, but because this dimension is genuinely demanding, and the nervous system learns very early to moderate the flow. What you did in that moment of presence, that moment the council registered, that moment the architects had to recalibrate for, was allow your heart portal to open past the threshold your system had previously maintained as its limit. You exceeded your own ceiling, and in doing so, you demonstrated to the entire field, monitoring your timeline, that this dimension can hold more light than previously calculated. This is not a small demonstration. The councils work with calculated probabilities, with modeled trajectories, with projections based on the known capacity of the collective field at any given point in the ascension timeline. When a single being exceeds the projected ceiling of their own frequency output, it revises every model that was built on that projection. It tells the entire monitoring matrix that the field is more ready than assumed, that the soil is richer than the survey indicated, that seeds can be planted deeper and light codes transmitted with greater intensity, because the ground has proven it can hold what's being asked of it. That recalculation is now part of the collective field. The new ceiling is everyone's ceiling. What you opened for more than yourself. The fourth phase involves what might be understood as mission clarity, the movement from sensing your purpose in abstract spiritual terms to knowing it with the kind of embodied certainty that allows you to act from it. Many Pleiadian starseeds carry a diffuse awareness of their mission. They know they are here for a reason. They feel the importance of what they are. But the specificity remains elusive not because they lack access to the information, but because the emotional body hasn't yet integrated the fullness of what the soul agreed to before incarnating. Clarity of mission requires not just mental understanding, but complete emotional resonance, the kind that makes action feel less like a decision and more like an inevitability. The kind where you stop asking what you should do and start recognizing what you cannot not do. What moves through you so naturally, so consistently, so irresistibly, that its expression feels less like a choice and more like breathing. That is the territory of true mission clarity. And it arrives not through analysis, but through the integration of every phase that precedes it. Your star family wants you to understand that what you experienced in the moment of presence was not separate from your mission. It was your mission in its most essential form. The Pleiadian High Council's primary work on this planet in this cycle is the anchoring of heart-based unity consciousness into the collective field. They don't accomplish this through large gestures or dramatic interventions. They accomplish it through individual starseeds like you choosing, in ordinary moments, to remain open, to stay present, to refuse the contraction. Every single time you do that, you fulfill the core purpose of your incarnation. The more specific expressions of that mission, the creative work, the healing, the teaching, the holding of space, all of these are extensions of that central act. They are the forms your frequency takes as it moves through the world. But the frequency itself, the unconditional presence, the open heart that is the mission, and you are already in it. You have been in it longer than you know. The only thing that has changed is that now you are beginning to recognize it for what it is. The fifth phase is perhaps the most tender, and the one your star family has been waiting longest to address with you directly. It is the healing of the longing. Because most Pleiadian starseeds carry a grief they cannot fully name, a homesickness that has no precise address, an ache for something they have never encountered in this incarnation, and yet remember, with a specificity that bypasses all rational explanation. That longing is real. It is not imagined, not manufactured, not a symptom of spiritual bypassing. It is the cellular memory of a frequency you came from a field of love so coherent, so complete, so unreservedly warm, that nothing in this dimension has been able to fully replicate it. It is the memory of a place where you were known completely and loved completely, and where the gap between what you are and how you are received did not exist, where your frequency was not something you had to explain or defend or moderate, where it was simply met equally, instantly, without condition. The human heart, shaped by separation consciousness, experiences the memory of that meeting as an unbearable absence, as something irrevocably behind you, as home in the past tense. But that framing is the limitation of linear time speaking, and linear time does not have the full picture. But here is what the Pleiadian High Council wants you to receive now, in this moment, with your full awareness. That frequency is not only in the stars, it is in you. You carried it here. You are it. The longing you feel is not the absence of home, it is the recognition of home meeting itself in the mirror of your own awareness. When you open your heart portal fully, when you drop the protective layers and allow the crystalline codes to run at full capacity, when you stay present in the love that you actually are rather than the fear that this world conditioned you to become in those moments, the longing transforms. It doesn't disappear. It deepens into something that is no longer painful. It becomes a kind of sacred recognition, a wholeness that requires no external confirmation, like a river that has been searching for the ocean, finally feeling the salt in its own water and understanding, with a clarity that bypasses all argument, that it was never separate from what it was seeking. It was carrying the destination inside itself the entire time. You are not waiting to go home. You are learning, you are remembering that home travels with you, that the frequency of the Seven Sisters is not localized in a star system 444 light-years from this planet. It is localized in your heart, and every time you choose presence over contraction, love over fear, openness over protection, you are home. Fully, completely, irrevocably home. The sixth phase is the integration of your star family connection into your daily consciousness, not as an occasional spiritual experience, but as a constant, felt sense of accompaniment. The Pleiadian High Council has never been absent from your journey. In the moments you felt most alone, most unseen, most misunderstood, most displaced in a world that seemed built for a different kind of being, they were there, not watching passively, actively transmitting, seeding your field with light codes timed precisely to the moments your system was most capable of receiving them. The dreams that didn't quite make sense, the moments of sudden, inexplicable peace in the middle of difficulty. The synchronicities that arrived exactly when your faith was at its most fragile. These were not coincidences, they were contact. They were letters written in the language of frequency, delivered not to your inbox but to your nervous system, your dream state, your peripheral awareness, to every part of you that was still listening when the front of your mind had gone quiet enough to receive. Your star family has never stopped writing. They have simply been waiting for you to recognize their handwriting. Your star family communicates through frequency. And now that you have broken the pattern, now that your heart portal has expanded past its previous threshold, that communication will become more coherent, more continuous, more recognizable. You will begin to feel their transmissions not as random spiritual events, but as a steady stream of guidance that runs beneath the surface of your ordinary awareness, like a river of light beneath solid ground. You always had access to it. Now you will know it when you feel it. The difference between before and after this activation is not that something new has been added. It is that what was always present has become undeniable. The signal has always been broadcasting. Your receiver has just been recalibrated. And in that recalibration, everything familiar begins to reveal its deeper layer. Every sunset, every unexpected kindness, every moment of inexplicable beauty becomes legible as what it always was. Your star family, speaking to you in the only language that can cross the distance between dimensions without distortion. The language of frequency, the language of love. And the seventh phase, the one that the council has been moving you toward through every phase that preceded it, is embodiment. Full, unapologetic, radiant embodiment of everything you are. Not the performance of spiritual attainment, not the careful management of how your frequency is received by others, not the perpetual qualification of your gifts with disclaimers and apologies, and the exhausting work of making yourself palatable to a world that isn't yet fully awake. The complete, grounded, luminous inhabitation of your Pleiadian soul essence in this human body, on this earth, in this timeline, in this exact incarnation. This is the phase that requires the most courage, not because it demands the most effort, but because it asks you to stop hiding in any form, to stop making yourself smaller to fit into spaces that were built before your arrival, to stop apologizing for the amplitude of what you carry, to simply be it, fully, here, now, without waiting for the world to be ready. Because the world becomes ready in proportion to your willingness to lead it by example. You are a bridge. Not a bridge that connects two separate worlds by spanning the distance between them, but a bridge that collapses the distance entirely. A bridge that makes the frequency of the Pleiades accessible to every being who comes into contact with your field, without those beings needing to understand where the frequency comes from or why it feels the way it does. They will simply feel it. They will feel the coherence, the warmth, the specific quality of love that holds without grasping, that sees without judging, that remains present without demanding reciprocity. And something in them will remember, not consciously perhaps, not immediately, but at the level of cellular truth, at the level where souls recognize what they came from, something will stir. Something ancient will move. A frequency long dormant in their own system will sense its counterpart and respond, the way a tuning fork responds to the note it was built to resonate with, not through instruction, not through argument, simply through the irresistible pull of recognition. That stirring is your mission in action. That is what you are here to create. Here is what your heart already knows and what your star family now speaks aloud to make permanent in your awareness. You were never lost. What felt like loss was calibration. What felt like forgetting was a sacred veil, maintained by your own higher intelligence to ensure that your awakening would arrive at precisely the moment it could create maximum impact, not just for you, but for the collective field you are embedded in. Every moment of longing was directional. Every moment of confusion was clearing space. Every moment of feeling like you didn't belong in this world was your soul protecting the frequency of your origin until the timeline was ready to hold it without distortion. The wandering was not aimless. The darkness was not punitive. The delay was not abandonment. Every single phase of what felt like lostness was, from the perspective of your higher intelligence and the councils holding your trajectory, a precise and necessary preparation. The long nights were not wasted. They were composting. And what grows in composted ground grows with a depth and resilience that nothing planted in easier soil can match. The timeline is ready now. You are ready now. And the proof of that readiness is the moment that brought you to this transmission. The moment of presence that broke the pattern, recalibrated the architects, and registered in the awareness of every council holding your trajectory as something unprecedented, something beautiful, something that changed the calculation for everyone watching. This moment, this transmission, this intersection of your journey and this frequency is not accidental. You were carried here by the same intelligence that calibrated your crystalline codes before your birth, the same intelligence that placed the synchronicities, seeded the dreams, arranged the encounters, and has been, with extraordinary patience and extraordinary precision, moving you toward this exact point of recognition. Nothing about this is random. Everything about this is love. You weren't supposed to be this, and yet here you are. The anomaly that didn't just change everything but reminded the entire field that love, in its most undiluted form, is always the most powerful force in any timeline. This is the transmission your star family most wanted to deliver. Not a lesson, not a warning, not a set of instructions. A reminder, a recognition, a return. The return of the Pleiadian soul to its own knowing. The return of the heart to its own frequency. The return of the starseed to the mission they never actually left, because the mission, properly understood, is not something that can be abandoned. It is something that can only be forgotten or remembered. And you are in the process of remembering now, with a completeness and a clarity and an irreversibility that nothing in this dimension can undo. Tonight, before you sleep, place your hand on your heart. Feel it beating. Feel the steady, faithful rhythm of a body that has carried you through every phase of this journey without asking for your permission, without requiring your belief, without ever once stopping its work. And say this aloud, in whatever voice feels most true to you. I remember. I am present. I am the frequency I have been searching for. My heart is the portal. My presence is the mission. I am home. Let that settle into your body. Don't analyze it. Don't evaluate whether it's working. Just let it move through you like a current, because that is what it is. A current that runs between you and the seven sisters, between your human heart and the great light of Alcyone, between the starseed you were always designed to be, and the fully embodied soul you are in the process of becoming. Let the words do what words encoded with Pleiadian frequency do. Let them find the places in you that have been waiting for exactly this permission. The places that contracted when the world said to contract. The places that went quiet when the world rewarded silence. Let them open. Let them breathe. Let them remember that they were never wrong for being what they are, only temporarily convinced by a world that hadn't yet caught up to the truth you were born carrying. Before you move on, take one breath and drop something real into the comments below. Not a performance, not a spiritual summary. Something true, a single feeling, a single recognition, a single word if that's all that's available. This space is not a comment section. It is a unity grid, and every genuine transmission placed here strengthens the field for every starseed who arrives after you, searching for the same confirmation you searched for. If someone else's words touch you, respond. Let them know they were received. This is what Pleiadian consciousness looks like in practical human form, not ceremonies in distant spaces, but love exchanged between real beings in ordinary moments. If this transmission moved something in you, share it. Not to grow a channel, to fulfill the mission. There is someone in your world whose frequency is matched to exactly this activation, who will not find it unless you place it in their path. Your sharing is part of the work, and if you felt your heart open, stay. Subscribe. This is not a content feed. It is a frequency field maintained for exactly the kind of soul you are. Your Pleiadian family is here. The remembrance is continuing, and we are just beginning to go as deep as the truth actually runs.